All right, joining us for this discussion now, let's welcome Media Liaison Officer for the Department of Basic Education, Terence Khala, and Dr. Keitumetse Mashego is a clinical and sports psychologist, performance, mindset, and life coach. The best people to speak to, I would imagine, ahead of the Matric paper 2025. Terence, let's start with you. So we've heard from the Department of Basic Education. We've also heard from Umalusi, of course, about the preparedness and the readiness. So over 750 full-time candidates and around about 160,000 part-time learners will be writing tomorrow. Just how ready is the department logistically?
Indeed, let me take an opportunity to greet you and greet all of the viewers and as well to my guest as well. Look, the department stands ready as we are at the moment. We have just indicated our full state of readiness. We have gone through a myriad of processes to ensure the readiness of the system, to ensure that the integrity of the system continues to be protected, to make sure that we don't have any kind of irregularities during this period, and really just to make sure that first and foremost, the most important people in this process, which are our candidates, have been adequately prepared. A number of assistive classes have been provided, but also subject-related interventions as well. So I think from our side as a department, as announced by Minister earlier today, we stand ready across the provinces. We were also joined by two MECs of Mpumalanga and Limpopo, and they also have echoed that similar sentiment. I think just to say that the system itself stands ready, and we remain ready to administer the examinations, and we wish, all of our candidates all the best of luck.
Yeah. Dr. Mashego, let me bring you into this conversation. The country is literally just holding its breath. It's not only just the matriculants, but for the ones that are actually doing the writing and have done the hard work, presumably over the years. What are the practical tools or steps, coping mechanisms, essentially, can you provide those, learners that are writing tomorrow?
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon. And I always say to people that breathe, be present in the moment. And you've learned for 12 years or about 12 years, and you do know something. So I think when we go into an exam, sometimes we have this panic mode where we feel like we don't recall, and you will struggle to access things if you're anxious. So you really need to take in and breathe. If nothing has happened to your brain, you will have that, long-term memory. You will remember something. And also what throws us off usually when we're in an exam is the first question. If you don't get it, then you're stuck on it and you feel like you don't know anything. So I always say to people that if you don't know the 7 colors of the rainbow, for example, and you know 6 is good enough. 6 out of 7 is good enough. So move on to the next one and see if you don't get those marks. If you have enough time, go back to the ones that you don't know. But essentially just breathe and trust the process and trust, what you have done thus far, which is, all the work you've put in for over 12 years.
All right, Terence, let me bring you back. Just in terms of Umalusi having had raised a concern about, just shortages of markers in some specific areas and some subjects. Just speak to us there about any concerns that were raised and now have been ironed out. What are some of the gaps there?
Look, indeed, obviously, we have looked at the quality of our markers and some of the challenges that have been raised in that respect. I think what does help is that we do always have an open line of communication with Malusi and with our quality assurance bodies, and we really have to work in tandem with them. I think the most important thing that we do aspire to is to make sure that we work holistically as a system to improve the overall output of the Matric results. So at the end of the day, when we administer these examinations, we don't administer them alone. We work in tandem, firstly, with our provinces, but also with our bodies that make sure that we can really keep a succinct and tight hold on everything. And really one of the things that have been raised is about our markers, and we have looked at making sure that with provinces and with our colleagues, especially within the assessment units in each province, to make sure that we can really bring a strong stranglehold on that and make sure nations do run quite succinctly.
All right, so Terence, we're struggling with the line a bit, but let me take this opportunity to bring in Dr. Mashego again. Hopefully it will have stabilized. Dr. Mashego, of course, we keep hearing from particularly Department of Education, but also I think the presidency would have mentioned it earlier on, that how important it is to support, the environment in which these learners need to study. How important and what is the role of communities at large, particularly the homes of these students that need to really have conducive environments for them to learn on the final stretch, the importance of it?
No, support is quite key and it cannot be overemphasized. And I think also society or the families usually have their own ideas about how these learners should study and, the outcome of the results. So I think it's also quite important for them to understand that we don't know what we don't know, but these students have to sit down and write these exams. So please do not put the worst case scenario, in their heads and their minds before they step into that exam. They've done the best that they can do, and really there's nothing much to do at this point except to, write the exams. So I think the support is quite important, to give them the time, but also if they're able to, eat what they need to eat, the sleep is quite important, but also to encourage them to take it easy on themselves, because I think there's so much pressure around unemployment, etc., and being accepted into a university. But at this point, all you can do and should do is focus on doing well and understand that all the work that you put in will culminate to this moment, but also to know that, it can go either way, and to trust that whatever is the outcome, that you'll be able to handle it as well. Because I think sometimes the people writing these exams, then they struggle with thinking the worst case scenario and that they won't manage. But I think it's just to trust that whatever the outcome, they prepared for it and it will be what it's meant to be, and just do the best that you can, which is good enough. And you've really, put in the work for so long, it should be okay.
And how do they manage disappointment, Dr. Mashego, in terms of having done all the work? Essentially, what we know realistically in this country, not every child, even though they had passed well, will be going to a tertiary institutions for a number of reasons, but also that important reason being that there's not too many universities or tertiary institutions to accept all matriculants who pass.
I think we really need to start as society to emphasize that sometimes bad things happen or you don't get what you want, but to just think about what to then do, right? And to also understand that university is not the only option. I think, unfortunately, in South Africa, we just emphasize university entrance and doing well in university, but there's so many other options for students or learners to go into if you're not accepted into these institutions. So I think there's a lot of work where we need to promote the other options, right? Which include, for example, your TVET colleges. There's so many other ways, that the learners can, get into if it doesn't go the way that they're supposed to go. And also for the parents or the caregivers to just show some grace and to understand that a dream deferred does not mean that it's the end. You can still become something, even if you're not at a ideally at the institution you wanted to be in. So there is other options. And I think that's what we need to really emphasize out there, that, getting that skill and doing the thing that you're good at is not the end of the world, that you can still become something in spite of your matric results. They don't define you.
Absolutely. Dr. Mashego, thank you so much for your time. And of course, Terence Khala from the Department of Basic Education. Unfortunately, his sound problematic there towards the end, but Dr. Keitumetse Mashego is a clinical and sports psychologist.